We're going to start kneeling actually this evening. So I'm going to face the short edge, the front of my mat where I'm kneeling. I'm about halfway up, so there's a little bit of space behind my feet, but not quite all the way at the front. We'll be doing a little bit of forward and backward range of motion when we get going. If this isn't super comfortable for you and you'd like to put a pillow or a set of blocks underneath your hips and move your knees a little further apart just to get you up a little bit further, that's totally fine. We won't spend super long here, but you're also welcome to roll the front edge of your mat up underneath your knees if that's something that's going to be more comfortable for you in this position. So getting started from this position this evening, as usual, we'll just start with some breathing. We'll bring some awareness to the body, and then we'll get going with our spinal twists. So once again, if this isn't super comfortable, we will be starting with breathing. We will be starting with spinal twist, and then we'll transition to something that's a little more specific to this position. So you're welcome to drop your hips to one side for a couple of moments as we get started here. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a minute to find that awareness of the body here. We're going to take a minute to notice without any judgment how you're feeling this evening, where your points of tension are. So I want us to just start from the top of the head and we'll move all the way down to the tips of the toes. And I just want you to notice if there's any points of tension or maybe somewhere that's feeling particularly good this evening. First of all, starting, like I said, the top of the head, the muscles in the face, the jaw, allowing the tongue to relax away from the roof of the mouth. Noticing if any tension has built up through there throughout your day. Maybe notice if the shoulders are a little bit scrunched up, give them that next nice big exhale. Allow them to release down away from the ears. Moving down through the arms to the tips of the fingers. And then down into the torso. A lot of tension might build up here through the core, through the upper or lower back. And like I said, no judgment of yourself here this evening, but just noticing how you're feeling. Into the glutes and the hips. Maybe the hips are a little bit tight from being seated today. Down through the legs, the quads, the hamstrings, maybe the knees, all the way through the lower leg to the tips of your toes. Finding that awareness, taking a couple more nice deep breaths right here as we find those points of tension again as we notice them, and sending that exhale to those places, finding a little bit deeper of a relaxation of those spaces. Maybe the shoulders start to creep up a little bit more, sending that nice big exhale. Maybe it feels good here to roll the head a little bit side to side, opening up through the neck in this little U shape, down in front, giving that a roll or two. Maybe the tension was in your shoulders, so you give them a couple of rolls in each direction. And then bringing your attention to your breath. Finding a couple of nice deep inhales and exhales. Now in this position, maybe you're in a little bit more ideal of a position to sit up straight than you were all day. So maybe it's a little bit easier to notice the round of your spine and tilting your pelvis forward. So if you have that nice long spine, then maybe if we were seated on the floor, just taking recognition of how this feels a little bit different for you than another seated position might. And we're going to move into our spinal twists coming up next. So if your feet need a little bit of a break and you want to roll forward and tuck your toes under for a little stretch, taking that second there, but keeping your attention on your breath. Finding those inhales to keep that long spine, keeping going with those exhales to find that nice deep relaxation. And then we're going to add our just basic spinal twist from here. So your inhale finds that long spine and center. Your exhale twists to one side, bringing your hand to the outside of that leg, and maybe this hand just floats around behind so mine doesn't quite reach the floor, or maybe you bring it down to add a little bit of leverage for the shoulders, opening them up towards that side. That next inhale brings us through center to that other side. Same thing in that opposite direction. Once again, maybe you just float and you press through that hand on your leg, or maybe you lean back just slightly And you use that back hand for a little bit of leverage on the mat. And I want you to kind of move at your own pace here. So those inhales kind of bring us through center, and those exhales to either side. But if you'd like to spend an extra moment on either side, you're welcome to. Or if it feels better to move a little bit faster side to side, that works as well. Taking a couple of moments, finding that pace that feels right. And whatever pace you're moving at here, I want you to find one more twist in each direction. We'll come back to this final twist and make it a little bit deeper as we go. When you finish those, once again, if you need to rock forward a little bit and give those feet a tiny break, you're welcome to. Or you can stay seated up nice and tall right here. Up next, we'll move into our cat and cow from this position. So your exhale is going to slide your hands forward towards the knees, open up through the shoulders and the spine towards the back wall, and tuck the chin in towards the chest. Your inhale is going to slide those hands up towards the hips, open up through the chest, pull the shoulder blades together, and lift the chin. Once again, we're kind of moving at our own pace here. That exhale pulls the spine backwards. That inhale pushes the chest forwards. Using the shoulders to move through this range of motion. And I want you to find 2 more nice deep breaths here, twice more in each direction. When you finish those last 2 nice deep breaths, one more time, we've got one more little stretch here. So last time, if you want to find that little break for the legs while I explain this next one. Our last thing from this position for a little while, we're going to find a spinal twist, but it's going to kind of bring us almost halfway into our camel. So our hips will stay low, where our camel would be up tall. But we're going to actually bring that hand down and plant it on the outside. And then that spinal twist comes from the opposite arm. We open up through the shoulder blade. We open up towards that opposite wall. We inhale to press up through center. So you're coming up tall with every single inhale and then down to that other side. So that opposite hand comes down. That same side comes up over top. Nice big stretch. And then pressing off of that hand, using that core to come up tall and through center to that other side. So finding these spinal twists, once again, kind of moving at your pace. Trying not to collapse into that shoulder as you come down. So staying nice and steady and tall long through those collarbones as you find that spinal twist. But using that hand for a little bit of support to find our twist here. Go ahead and give me a couple of these. Nice. Go ahead and give me one more in each direction. When you finish those last 2, I want you to just rock forward to hands and knees. So bringing those hands down, once again, maybe you take a second to press those toes down into the floor and give them a little stretch. Maybe you lengthen one leg, give those ankles a couple of little circles, just giving your body a time to recover from being in that position for as long as we were. And then I want you to think about making sure that those shoulders are right underneath the wrists. And then when you come down to readjust after you give those ankles a couple circles or those toes a couple of stretches, making sure that the knees are right underneath the hips. We're going right into our traditional cat and cow here. So that inhale drops the belly towards the floor, lifts the chest and the chin. That exhale rounds the spine, opens up and pulls the chin in towards the chest. So just finding a couple of these since we already found this range of motion, but just changing it up just a little bit to bring it to hands and knees. Go ahead and give me 3 more nice deep breaths in this cat and cow. When you finish those 3, just bringing it back to kind of a neutral spine. And then we're just going to find one more time a kind of shift in range of motion, a spinal range of motion. Our first one will be our exhale, which sits those hips back towards the heels into our child's pose. And then our inhale presses the hips forward and down towards the floor. We come up into our cobra pose. So finding that length through the front of the body. And just once again, taking it kind of at your own pace. A nice stretch for the shoulders in your child's pose and the chest. And then opening up, finding that little bit of opening through the front side of the body in that cobra. So just coming in this range of motion a few times, finding a pace that feels good. If one or the other direction feels particularly good right now, maybe take an extra moment finding that. Nice. Go ahead and find one more time in each direction for me here, and then we're all going to meet in that cobra. So pressing those hips down to the mat, the chest is up, the palms are flat against the mat with a little bit of pressure through all 10 fingers. Taking just an extra second here. Nice big inhale for a little extra length, looking up a little bit further. And then your next exhale is going to bring the chest down to the mat. So we're nice and long on that mat here. First thing we're going to do is find a quad stretch on this first side. So I'm going to use my left elbow for a little support. I'm going to reach my right arm around and find a little mini quad stretch. Now, wherever is good for you to find this stretch. So if you just grab your heel, and that's a good stretch through the front side of the top of the leg, or maybe you have to pull the heel in a little bit closer to you, just taking a second to find that stretch. And maybe this feels kind of similar to that kneeling pose if you found a really big stretch through the quads as you were kneeling. And then from here, what I'm going to have us do is we'll actually move into our upward bow. So I want to get us prepared for that. So I want you to grab onto that foot on the top of that foot. If you need to use this left arm for a little support to press the chest up. And then I want you to press the hand and the foot into each other with as much intensity as you can muster. It'll bring the knee up off of the floor a little bit. It'll lift your chest a little bit and give it that support. And give it that nice hold. So I want you to really think about activating through the muscles of the leg and the arm. They're pressing in opposite directions, holding for another nice big inhale. And then that next exhale, nice and easy, releasing the knee down, releasing that foot, and we're just going to trade sides. We've got that same thing on the other side. So I'm going to use my right elbow for a little support. I'm going to reach my left arm around behind. First, just finding that nice, easy little quad stretch. So taking a second here, maybe pulling the foot in a little closer, maybe out here feels good because that's the range of motion that you've got today, maybe tight from sitting all day. Wherever you're at, find that nice stretch. And then moving into that activation, next time you exhale, I want you to press the hand and the foot towards each other. So pressing them into each other, lifting that knee just a little bit, the chest comes up just a little bit, activate through the leg, through the arm, working in that oppositional space. One more big inhale. Next exhale releases and relaxes. Now, if you've got any kind of lower back pain, basically at any point, I want you to just take this with a grain of salt. If you can't quite get all the way into this pose, totally fine. Maybe just do one more time on each side. If you're ready to bring it into that bow pose, we've got that stretched out. So we're going to pull that right foot in and that right hand around. Same thing with the left. So we're doing just what we did with each individual leg, but just with both. If this is a really big stretch for you and this is a little uncomfortable, I invite you to just take this at a very minimum. If you're feeling good and you're feeling ready, we're doing that same thing. We're pressing the hands and the feet towards each other. It lifts us just a little bit off of that mat, kind of finds that round of the spine and opens up through the chest. So this is a really good chest and shoulder stretch for us. Nice and tall, a little bit more pressure, a little bit more activation. Give me one more big inhale. And that next exhale releases us down, relaxes those feet. Gives those arms a little break, and then we're gonna transition into our downward facing dog for that first time today. So planting those hands, maybe you press it up to the knees first, and then press those hips up and back wherever you need to be. I'm gonna move myself forward just a little bit here. And then curling those toes under, pressing those hips up and back, and then taking just a moment here, maybe you pedal out those heels, maybe you bend through the knees, move the hips side to side a little bit, finding what feels good for a moment here. All right, we're gonna move into our little bit of a flow coming up next. So the very first thing I wanna do for our flow this evening is we are going to step those feet forward to meet the hands in our forward fold. So nice big step to bring us forward, finding that forward fold. Maybe you've got a nice generous bend in those knees. Maybe those fingers aren't quite to the ground, but just taking a moment here in this position to find your breath, to find a stretch. Maybe you alternate lengthening one or the other of those legs a little bit, finding that nice big stretch. All right, our next pose is going to be important moving forward. So we're going to find our halfway lift with our long spine. So with your next inhale, with your next inhale, here we go. I want you to lift up halfway. We're going to come to find as long and flat of a spine as you can. We're actually going to hold this here for a minute, because I want you to just kind of notice how that feels on the spine. And when we do this coming up, what we're going to actually do is have our arms in kind of an airplane position. So we're going to move to that now. I want you to extend those arms nice and long, straight back with the spine. So you'll kind of be able to tell we're in this nice long line here. We've got that nice flat spine, but now I'm really using my core to hold me up, to hold that spine long. With your next exhale, I want you to release those fingertips down towards the floor and round back out into that forward fold. Our next big inhale rolls us all the way up to extended mountain. So bringing it up and then finishing out by bringing those arms out and up towards the ceiling, taking your time, pull the palms together. Your exhale pulls them down to heart center. Your next inhale shoots them back up center. So bringing them up nice and long, and then we're gonna exhale to swan dive forward into our forward fold, back down towards the floor. From this position, we're gonna plant those hands and step those feet back into our high plank. So maybe you bend through those knees, step both of those feet back into high plank. Now I want you to take this chaturanga with a ton of mindfulness. We're going to take our full exhale to get down. So maybe you drop those knees and then inhale to find a little bit longer of a spine, and then as slow and controlled as you can, exhale to pull those elbows in close to the body, lower yourself down all the way to the floor. When you hit that floor, that inhale, same thing, nice and controlled, presses the chest up into our cobra for that nice stretch right here. That next exhale, nice and mindful of your spine, turns those toes under and presses those hips up and back into our downward facing dog. We've got our three-legged dog coming up next. So with your next inhale, I want you to press that right foot up and back, nice and long. And this one, I want you to think about getting it up towards the ceiling. So we're almost in that like half split. Maybe your half split brings you to here. Maybe your half split brings you up a little bit further, wherever you're at. Finding that nice stretch. Nice big inhale here in this position. And then your next exhale sweeps that right foot forward into that almost low lunge position. So I've got a nice bend through my knee. We're nice and stable through this right foot. This is going to bring us to our standing split. So I want you to kind of rock a little bit backwards onto that left foot, and then bring your weight forward onto that right foot. You can move your hands forward a little bit if you need a little more stability. And then we're lifting that left foot up. Same thing we did with that right leg in our three-legged dog. Maybe your half split brings you to here, or standing split. Maybe your standing split brings you to here. Maybe your standing split brings those toes up towards the ceiling. And that next exhale bends through that right knee and brings that left foot back down. We're back in that lunge. Now here's where that flat back and that long spine comes in. Using your core, I want you to lift just a little bit off of the floor until you've got that nice long spine. Think about that length, and then extend those fingertips back, pulling the shoulder blades together. We're almost in this airplane pose. Now, After this round, we'll move this into a balance. But for this one, since we're just kind of getting moving, our next inhale brings those arms up into our crescent lunge. We lengthen through that spine up towards the ceiling. Our next exhale, we're going to turn towards that front leg. So I'm going to open my arms and turn towards my front leg. So my left fingertips are out front. My right fingertips came back. So we're in a spinal twist here. I'm going to bend through my left elbow, bring it down to my right knee, and find a little balance stretch here. So maybe you just bring it up towards the ceiling. Maybe your balance is feeling good and you bring it over the head. So kind of a weird twisted stretch. And then we're going to bring this elbow in, and then this top hand meets it. So we've got a whole ton more support here in our spinal twist. Next inhale brings us up to tall, back in that crescent lunge. Inhale to extend those arms up. Exhale turns that back heel down, opens us up into our warrior two. Next inhale flips the front palm, go ahead and reverse it. Exhale brings us down out into that warrior two, and once again we'll build on this coming up next. But right now, just go ahead and take that right hand down to the mat, left hand follows it, left heel comes up, putting a little pressure through those hands. We step that right foot back to meet the left. And we're back at the top. So same thing, we're getting started by stepping or jumping those feet forward to meet the hands back in our forward fold. Bring them forward, find that nice forward fold. A little bit quicker through this one. Our inhale brings us to our halfway lift, keeping those hands on the legs this time rather than bringing them back. Our exhale folds us forward, back into that forward fold. Next inhale all the way up to that extended mountain. We roll up, we circle those arms out and up, we pull the palms together. We exhale to bring them down to heart center. Our next inhale shoots those arms right back up the center, and exhale folds us forward to our forward fold. Planting those hands, stepping us back into that plank position. Once again, you can drop those knees or you can keep it from those toes. Our next exhale, nice and slow and controlled, brings us down towards the floor. Maybe you bring it all the way down. Maybe you float. Our inhale presses us up, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale turns those toes over, presses those hips up and back. Downward facing dog. We're switching sides. Our left leg goes up into our three-legged dog, up and back. We're going to take a second here for this nice big stretch. So as far up towards the ceiling as you can take that leg. That inhale lengthens a little bit further, and that exhale sweeps that left leg forward into that lunge position. Now we've got our standing split here, so rocking maybe a little bit backwards on that right heel, and then bringing your weight forward onto that left heel. Maybe adjust those hands for a little bit more balance. Those right toes come up into that standing split. Now once again, maybe your standing split is here. Maybe like me, this side's a little more challenging for you, or maybe you've got that standing split down. Our next exhale pulls those toes down to the mat, and our inhale brings us into that airplane. So finding that long spine, kind of using our core to extend off of that knee and pointing those fingertips back nice and long. Next inhale brings us up, nice long spine up towards the ceiling, crescent lunge. Our exhale finds us in that kind of weird spinal twist. So the right fingertips come forward, the left fingertips come back. We've got our odd spinal twist, our little balance pose is next. So right elbow bends and comes down to that left knee. Left arm either comes up towards the ceiling or up over the head a little bit, depending on where your balance is today. And then we're taking that right hand, we're bringing that left hand down to meet it, so the right elbow's on that left knee. And then our next inhale brings us back up to center in that crescent lunge, nice strong core. Inhale brings us up. Exhale opens those arms up, pulls that right heel down, warrior two. Inhale, flip the front palm, reverse it, up and back. Exhale, cartwheels us all the way down to the mat. Left hand leads, right hand follows, right heel comes up, left foot goes back to meet the right downward facing dog. All right, now I've got one addition for this next one. We'll wait a little bit for that following addition. Our balance will come third. So stepping or jumping those feet forward to meet the hands with your next exhale. Our inhale finds our halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Exhale folds us forward. Next inhale rolls us all the way up, extended mountain. Exhale pulls the palms together down to heart center. Inhale shoots those palms back up. Exhale, swan dive forward, forward fold. Planting those hands, stepping those feet back to that high plank position. From there, you can keep the knees high or you can drop them down. Our next exhale pulls us down to the floor, nice and slow and controlled. Our inhale pulls the chest up into our cobra or our up dog, and our exhale turns those toes over from the knees or straight to those toes. Hips go up and back, downward facing dog. We're back to that three-legged dog on the right. Our next inhale pulls that foot up and back, taking that nice big stretch there. Our exhale sweeps it forward, steps that foot down, finding our balance. Our exhale shifts our weight forward onto that right foot, and that left leg goes up. So again, you can readjust those hands a little bit. We're in that standing split for a little stretch and balance there. Next exhale drops those left toes nice and easy to the mat. Those right knees are bent. And then our next inhale lifts us to that halfway, our long spine, fingertips extend back into that kind of streamlined airplane pose. Next inhale sweeps those arms up into our crescent lunge. Exhale finds that weird spinal twist. Left fingertips go forward, right fingertips go back. We bend through that left elbow. It comes down to that knee. Our right arm either goes up towards the ceiling or up over top. From here, we're adjusting so that that elbow is planted on the knee, and then we bring our palms together into that spinal twist for a little bit of balance. Next inhale, use your core, bring it back up. Exhale takes those fingertips up towards the ceiling, and then we open up into that warrior two. So bringing those fingertips down, turning that left heel down, we're in this warrior two position. Our next inhale, so wherever you are, finding that next inhale with that palm turning over, reverse it. Here's where we're gonna add to this. We're gonna find our kind of dancing warrior. So we're gonna take it in one step at a time. So go ahead and exhale, bring those fingertips out nice and long. From here, you're going to extend that right leg while you bend your left leg. So we're kind of shifting our weight back. My left knee is bent almost in a side lunge. My right leg is long, my weight is on my heel. My right fingertips are gonna come towards the floor. My left fingertips are gonna come up over top. So almost reversing our peaceful warrior. And then we're gonna inhale and switch it up again. So we're bending that right leg, straightening that left leg. The right fingertips come up. The left fingertips point towards the floor. Same thing again. Exhale to lengthen that right leg. Right fingertips point down, left fingertips come up. Same thing again, bringing it back out, peaceful. So bending that right leg, extending those right fingertips. One more time in each direction. Exhale, shifts the hips backwards, bends through the left knee. Right fingertips towards the floor, left fingertips up. And last time into that peaceful, making sure you've got that nice bend through that right knee. And then bringing it back out to our warrior two. Fingertips are long, knee is bent. Next, exhale, cartwheels those arms down. Right palms meet, left heel comes up, right toes go back to meet the left, downward facing dog. All right, same thing on that other side. So step or jump those feet forward to meet those hands with that next big exhale. Inhale finds us in that halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Exhale folds us forward. Inhale rolls us all the way up, extended mountain. Pulls the palms together, exhale, down to the chest. Inhale, shoots those palms up. Exhale, folds us forward, swan dive forward. Go ahead and plant those hands, step those feet back, high plank. You can drop those knees, lower down, nice big exhale. Inhale, lifts the chest into that cobra or that up dog. Exhale, turns those toes over, presses those hips up and back. Left leg, three-legged dog. Inhale, brings us up and back. Nice big stretch. Exhale, sweeps that foot forward, plants that leg. We're gonna shift forward onto that left foot. So shifting your weight, maybe moving your hands. Right toes go up into that standing split. Next exhale, bends through that left knee, plants those toes. We bring it up into our airplane, strengthening through that core, long spine, fingertips go back, nice and streamlined position. Our next inhale brings us up into our crescent lunge. We've got our spinal twist up next. So our exhale turns those right fingertips forward, left fingertips back. And then we bring that right elbow down to that left knee, those left fingertips up towards the ceiling or up over top. We use that knee for stability, so making sure that elbow is on it, bringing that left hand down to meet the right, Our next inhale brings us back up, nice strong core to center, and then extends those arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale turns us into our warrior two. Right heel comes down, arms go out nice and long. Here we've got our peaceful warrior. Inhale, flip that front palm, lift it up and back. All right, here's that kind of dancing warrior that we've got going on. So out back to warrior two, and then we're lengthening that left leg. We're bending that right leg. Those left fingertips point towards the ground. Those right fingertips come up over top. Same thing, back and forth a couple of times. Bringing it forward, peaceful, bend through the left knee. Bringing it backward to that dancing, bend through the right knee. Peaceful, take it forward. Dancing back to that other direction. Last time here. And back forward one more time. Into that peaceful warrior. Exhale brings us back out to our warrior two. Cartwheels down, left palm meets. Right palm follows, right heel comes up. Left foot goes back to meet the right downward facing dog. All right, we're gonna skip that feet to the hands, halfway lift little sequence so that we can get our little balance pose going in these last couple minutes. So we're starting with our three-legged dog on the right. That right foot, we inhale to take it up and back. With our exhale, we sweep it forward, bringing that foot down into that lunge position. We've got our standing split here, so maybe you shift those fingertips forward, and then bringing the weight onto that right foot. That left foot goes up towards the ceiling. Next exhale, brings those toes down nice and soft. We bring it to that airplane. Now here's our balance pose. We're going to bring this to either our airplane or our warrior three. So we're going to once again shift forward off of that left foot. The right foot takes our weight. So using that balance, your airplane has those hands back, or if you feel pretty stable and sturdy here, you can extend those arms forward. I can't because I don't have the space, but into your warrior three. Finding just one more nice big inhale for that lengthening of the spine. Our exhale sets that foot down and we extend up nice and tall. We're just gonna bring it out to our warrior two. So I want you to turn that left heel down, open those arms. We've got our dancing warrior sequence just once. Flip that front palm, inhale to reverse it, peaceful. Exhale to bring it out, so we're lengthening that right leg, we're bending that left leg, fingertips towards the ground, left fingertips up, taking it back out to our warrior two. Cartwheel those arms down, right goes down first, left follows, left heel comes up, putting pressure through those palms, right goes back to meet the left. Downward facing dog. All right, last time through this sequence, you guys, you just gotta get through it on the left. Our next big inhale takes us to that three-legged dog. Left foot goes up and back. Nice big stretch. Exhale, sweeps it forward into that lunge position. From here, standing split. So shifting our weight onto that left foot. That right foot goes up. Nice big stretch. Exhale, brings that foot back down nice and soft and easy. We've got that core, so long spine brings the chest off of the knee. Those fingertips extend down and back towards the hips. Now into our airplane or our warrior, shifting your weight forward onto that left foot, finding your balance. If you want to extend those arms forward for that warrior three, you're welcome to. Finding one more nice big inhale. That exhale, nice and easy, sets that foot down. And inhale to extend those arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale turns us to our warrior two. Right heel comes down. Fingertips come in either direction. Next inhale flips the front palm, reverse it. Exhale brings us into that dancing. So fingertips go out in either direction. We lengthen through the left leg, bend through the right leg. Right arm comes up over top. Inhale to come back to that warrior two, centered. And then exhale, cartwheel those arms down. Left goes down, right goes down, right heel comes up. Left foot goes back to meet the right, downward facing dog. One final time today. All right, from here, we're gonna take a little recovery before we finish up with our first 40 minutes. So I will leave the recovery position option up to you. You can keep it right here in this downward facing dog. You can drop those knees wide and sit those hips back for a child's pose. You can lay it down flat on the mat. You can find something that's comfortable for you. If you're feeling it somewhere in the wrists and the hips, whatever it may be, finding just a comfortable pose. We're going to take 3 or 4 nice, easy breaths here in whichever of those recovery poses you may choose. All right, wherever you chose, I want you to go ahead and meet me in that child's pose. So if you're still in that downward dog, I invite you to drop those knees, sit those hips back. And we're gonna bring it up to where we started. So I want you to walk those hands in and sit it up nice and tall, back on those knees. Awesome. Okay. All right, so like I said, taking a moment here, and I know that, sometimes it's a weird little break to have to take that time to log out and log back in. So I just want to bring us back to center. I partially do this for me because it is kind of a weird break in mental space. So taking these couple of moments in either your child's pose or your down dog or maybe your dolphin, to just recenter and refocus on your breathing. And find those nice deep inhales and exhales once again that allow for that length as you inhale and allow for that little bit of extra relaxation into our poses as we exhale. All right. And if you found that child's pose, I want to invite you to join me in a down dog here. So planting those hands, curling those toes under, and pressing those hips up and back. Now I want to take a few moments in the beginning of this second half of our practice to just focus on our chaturanga and our lower vinyasa flow, our low sun salutation. So for all of these, you have the option to do it from your toes or from your knees. And you have the option of either of the 2 cobras or up dog. So first thing I want you to do is find a nice big inhale, find a little more length in this down dog. So press your hips up a little bit further, bring your head down between your biceps, and maybe you come up onto those toes to find that little extra length. Your exhale, we're gonna find 2 nice slow ranges of motion. So as you exhale, shift the shoulders out over the wrists. And like I said, from the toes or the knees, nice and slow, we're lowering down to meet the mat as you complete that exhale. Your inhale presses your chest up, turns the top of your feet to meet the mat. And like I said, either that cobra or that up dog to find that nice stretch. Your next exhale turns the toes over, and either you start from those knees or you turn right from those toes to press those hips up. All right, same thing again, we're gonna go through it nice and slow. Inhale brings those hips up and back. Exhale, 2 ranges of motion. We shift the shoulders out over the wrists, and then we lower down nice and controlled, nice and slow, toes or knees. Our inhale presses the chest up, cobra or upward facing dog. Our exhale turns those toes over and presses those hips up and back. We're gonna do that just 2 more times, so keeping it controlled, keeping it moving. Inhale to lengthen a little bit further. Exhale, 2 ranges of motion. Shift the shoulders over the wrists and we lower. Inhale, presses the chest up, cobra, low cobra, or up dog. Exhale, turns the toes over, presses those hips up and back, downward facing dog. We've just got 1 more time there. Nice big inhale, lengthen a little bit more. Exhale, 2 ranges of motion. Shoulders come out over wrists, and we lower down, toes or knees. Inhale, presses the chest up, shines out through the chest towards that opposite wall. Exhale, turns the toes over, presses the hips up and back. 1 more time into that downward facing dog. Nice and soft from here with your next exhale. I want you to bring those knees down to the mat and then walk those hands in and we're gonna come to up tall on our knees here. So like I said, we're gonna find our camel up next. So I've got a couple of movements that are gonna get us into our camel, and then we'll have the option for either half camel or full camel from there. And I've got a modification as well if you've got any kind of lower back tension. So the first thing we're gonna do for this camel is we're gonna get our core nice and warmed up. We're gonna think about being super long from our knees up to our shoulders. So we're gonna do drift back. So the top of my feet are on the mat, they're nice and stable. Like I said, I've got this nice long torso from my knees up to my shoulders. And then my arms, you can either bring them just right to your chest in that kind of prayer positioning, or as you drift back, I like to bring my arms out. It reminds me to keep my chest long. So from this, I'm gonna strengthen through my core. I'm gonna drift my body back in that nice long line. And I'm gonna, like I said, I just lift my arms to remind me to keep it up tall. With my exhale, I'm gonna pull it forward and back up to nice and long. So we're just really activating through the core. You might feel this through your quads like I do. We drift backwards, we keep that body nice and long, and then we exhale to bring it back forward. So maybe you only drift a couple of inches. Maybe you've got that really full range of motion because your core is super, super strong. Wherever you're at, just finding that range of motion 4 more times for me here. Like I said, maybe those hands just hang out at the chest in that kind of prayer positioning. Really thinking about the core work that it takes to keep the body long. And then I've got one more to complete my 4 here. I'm gonna shift it back up, and then I'm gonna hinge at the hips and bend the knees to bring me back to that lower kneeling position. Now, first thing from here we're gonna do is that same spinal twist, that second one we did. So I want you to plant that right hand, bring that left arm up over top, nice big stretch. So we're working on that extension of the chest and that fold of the spine. Our exhale presses off that right palm, brings us back up to center. We just switch sides. Left hand comes down to the mat, right arm comes up over top, kind of for that spinal extension here, opening up, and then bringing it back to center. Once more on each side, planting that palm. We come up over top, nice big stretch, pressing off of the right hand back up to center, and then back down on that other side. Just like that, bringing it back up to center. Now we're just going to take that up a notch. We're going to do 4 of those once again. However, when you take that right hand down this coming time, so go ahead and join me there, bring that right hand down, and we bring that left arm up over top. Now from here, we're just going to take it up a notch by extending those hips up off of the heels. So we just extend up, we find a little bit more of that spinal extension. So we're getting our back ready for that range of motion. And then this time, as you come back up to center, you set the hips down, you press off the right hand, and you switch it up. Like I said, we've got 3 more of those. So left hand here, right arm comes up over top. We extend those hips. We kind of find that range of motion that we'll find for our camel, and then bringing it back down and through center once more on each side. The right hand comes down, left arm comes up. We extend the hips, we get the spine ready for this full range of motion. We bring it back down and up through center. Last time, we're bringing the left palm down. We're bringing the right arm up over top. We extend those hips forward, bring them down, and then back up to center. We're gonna take it up off of that low kneeling, back to our high kneeling. Our next step will be half camels. So we're gonna actually bring the hand down to where it would be if we were finding our full camel. So when I find this position, I just bring my palm right down onto my heel, and it's just kind of nice and stable through the ankle. If you need to bring it down a little lower or higher, that's totally fine. Just finding a positioning that's comfortable for you. We're gonna take that right hand this time down onto the heel, and then the left arm comes up over top. We find that nice big stretch and that spinal twist. And then same thing, this one's kind of warming our core up for getting out of our camel. So you use the left arm to bring up and back to center. We're gonna do 3 more of those same things. So left hand comes down, finding that space that's good for you. Right arm comes up over top, nice big stretch. And then using the right arm and the left arm to press off of the floor, we come up through center. Last time on each side for this halfway, we're bringing the right hand down. We're coming up over top, nice big stretch. Back up through center. And last time, On that left side, we're bringing the left hand down. We're bringing the right arm up over top. And then last time, pressing back up to center from right there. All right, now I've got a couple options for your camel here as we get into both arms coming down. Now, if you've never done camel before, you've got any kind of back pain, you know it's a little intense, what I want you to do is actually bring your hands down behind where your feet are, so it makes the stretch a little less intense. Your hips come down when we do that. I want you to pull the fingertips towards the back of the mat, and then same as we did before, I just want you to lift those hips and find that little mini back bend. If you're ready for that full camel, we're bringing one hand down. Instead of just reaching that second arm up, the other arm comes down as well, and then we open up through the chest, we pull the shoulder blades together, and then the head or the neck can find a comfortable position. So maybe you let it relax and release a little bit more. Maybe you keep the tension a little bit more if it feels more comfortable there. Just finding 2 more nice deep breaths in either of those options for that camel pose. And then we're going to use that same dismount option that we did for that halfway. So I want you to just lift one arm, that left arm comes up, use it for our little bit of momentum to bring us out of it so we're not collapsing through the spine. Now we're going to find that just one more time, so same 2 options. If you need a little bit less intense, those hands can come down and you can lift through the hips. If you're still feeling good in that camel, one more time, but I want you to lead with the other hand. So I came down on my right first last time. I'm going to come down with my left first this time. Same thing, we're circling that other arm all the way around, then we're opening up through the chest and finding that nice even positioning for the head and the neck. Once again, you've got that option to have those hands down behind and just be lifting through those hips. Still a really intense back bend, a really intense pose, but we're just taking the intensity and the pressure down. Same thing, we're going to unwind the same way. So you're going to lead with one arm, use it for the momentum to bring you back up, and then just take a little recovery pose. So maybe you sit it back into your child's pose, find that little release of the lower back. Maybe it feels good to bring it forward into that up dog to find that spinal extension again. Whatever feels right for you here, taking a moment for that little recovery from that nice, intense camel posture. All right, nice job, you guys. Whew. Okay. Now, up next, what we're going to do is we're going to work a little bit on building our shoulder strength, building our core strength, but also kind of starting to build up to forearm stand. A forearm stand isn't something that I actually have in my practice, so I won't be getting us quite there today, but these are just kind of some activities, some exercises that you can do that will build the intensity. A forearm stand is in your practice. I invite you to find a safe place to do that and build up to that. But if it's something you've never tried before, we're not going to get there today, so no need to worry. We're going to start off in our dolphin pose here. So those elbows come down, those palms are flat on the ground. We curl the toes under, and then we lift those hips up and back. So dolphin is kind of like a modified downward facing dog. We're taking the pressure out of the wrists, but it's a lot of work for the shoulders here. So you can already kind of feel probably that keeping your hips up and back and keeping those shoulders back is a little bit of work. So, you know, it would be easy to just kind of sink into this and bring the shoulders forward, but I want you to think about pressing backwards up and into those hips here. Now from this, we're going to work on a little bit of core strength. So we're going to shift into our low plank from the elbow. So I just have to step my feet back a little bit and then drop my hips so that my shoulders are right over top of my elbows. We're going to spend a couple of moments in this pose because this is going to really start to build up the core strength that you need for that forearm stand. And you can maybe already feel it a little bit in those shoulders and how much they're working in this low plank. Now we're just going to spend, like I said, a couple more moments here. Staying nice and strong, trying not to let that lower back keep you down towards the floor, keeping those hips nice and even. And then we're going to shift back into that dolphin. So walk those toes in a little bit, press those hips up and back. We're still working with those shoulders. A little bit of a break for the core. Now right here, if you need a little bit of a break, I invite you to drop the knees and press it back. But if you're still feeling good, you can keep working in that dolphin. All right, we're gonna find that one more time, we're gonna add to it. So if you drop those knees, I want you to bring them up, bring it to that low plank. We've got that nice, stable, steady position here. Now what we're gonna do is gonna work on that shoulder and that core strength. So we're gonna find drifts. It's a seesaw kind of motion here with the shoulders, and we're gonna move through the bottoms of the feet as well. So the first thing we're gonna do is drift out. So I want you to drift so those shoulders come forward towards those wrists, and I'm out on my toes. And then we're gonna drift as far backward as we can without lifting those hips. So pressing back through those shoulders, pressing back through those heels. And I just want you to find that kind of saw range of motion a couple times here. So bringing it forward a little bit, and then bringing it back a little bit. Nice, give me 2 more of those. And then recovery option after those last 2, you can drop those knees, or you can press those hips up and back one more time for that dolphin. Either way, taking that second, and then I've got one more quick little option for you here to find that forearm stand. We've just got a couple minutes left, so I still want to hit our hero pose to finish this out today. But our progression towards the forearm stand is going to start in our dolphin. Now, like I said, if you have forearm stand in your practice, here is your chance to take it into it. If not, we're going to bring it up into that dolphin. So we're back on those forearms again, those hips are up and back. We're going to do 3 kickoffs on each side. So that kickoff is going to lead with that right foot to start. And all we're going to do is pretend as if we're going to go up into that forearm stand. We're going to lift the right foot, and we're going to kick off of the left for just a little float. So we're not going all the way over the back, but we're just going to kind of come up for a little float as if we were going to kick up into it, and just kind of use this as our intro to getting into it as we might from the wall the first couple times. So I want you to just do 3 of those for each leg. I want you to feel what it's like for your body weight to be working on those forearms. When you finish those 3 on each leg, take that recovery pose for our child's pose, nice and easy. And my shoulders are nice and tired, so I am glad that that was it for that forearm stand preparation. So like I said, when you finish those 3 on each side, taking a second, give your shoulders a little break. All right. And then, like I said, our final option for today is going to be hero pose. So I want you to walk those hands in and up. Now, traditional hero pose brings those hips down in between those feet. So the knees go a little bit wider, the hips come down between the feet. Now that's not super comfortable for me, so I have my pillow here, and I'm just going to use that to go right underneath my hips. So it's right between my feet. I just use it for a little bit of extra support. It decreases the amount of space that I need to cover. It's a little less intense for my knees. Now, if you don't have that pillow to be that support, you can pull those heels in just like you might for a child's pose. And then, a lot of breath from those dolphins. Okay. And then we're going to find either a half reclining or a full reclining option for this. So, like I said, if you can, drop those hips down between. Those feet are on either side of them. Your half reclining brings you either back onto your hands, so it just intensifies it a little bit, or down onto those elbows, so it intensifies it even more. And your full recline will bring you down onto the mat. Arms can go wide, arms can go up, or arms can come low. Now, like I said, when I get into reclining, that's not super comfortable, so I'm just gonna pop that pillow right underneath my hips and bring it down to that half recline to just kind of find that little bit of lower intensity version of this. And we're just going to spend 4 nice even breaths in any of those options here. Maybe your feet are under your hips for a little bit less intense of an option here. Maybe you've got that full recline all the way down to the floor. Go ahead and take 2 more nice deep breaths wherever you are here. And after that, last nice deep breath, just making your way out of it. So if you're all the way down reclining, maybe you bring it up to the elbows and use those arms a little bit. Maybe like that camel, you use the momentum, circle one arm around and over. And then I want you to just kind of release it and circle those legs around to take the pressure off of those feet and ankles. So we're just gonna finish out in our comfortable seated position as we've about hit our 60-minute mark. So wherever that comfortable seated is for you, maybe those ankles need a couple rolls, so you just leave the feet out long. Maybe it feels good to curl those legs in, whatever works for you here. And then we're going to find 3 nice deep breaths to finish us out this evening. So leading with those arms, that next big inhale brings us out and up. Our exhale circles us down and around. One more time, just like that, our inhale brings us out and up. Our exhale circles us down and around. With this last one, our palms are going to be overhead. Inhale brings us out and up. Palms meet right over the head. Exhale pulls us down to heart center. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being with me today for my full practice, this extra 20 minutes. I am going to drop the survey into the chat box. Give me a minute if you have any feedback. But thank you for sharing your Monday evenings with me. I appreciate you all so very much. The light in me honors the light in you. Bowing as we say, namaste.